Oh my God. Ugly. Tourists in Germany. How to upset Germans is what we're going to be covering today. I've traveled to Germany 3 times last year, and I'm coming back for a 4th time this year, actually. And I was very, very conscious of how I maneuvered when I was out there. I had been reacting to German stuff for the last 4 years, actually a lot of European stuff. And there were a lot of things that you guys were telling me over the years that I should not do and things that I should do when I get to Germany. A few of them being, make sure you learn the language at least a little bit. I mean, you're in a different country, so at the very least, learn some key phrases and whatnot. The next thing was make sure you study the customs and courtesies and abide by those, because you'll have better interactions with people when you do that in any country. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and let's get into this video.
You could upset Germans when you come here as a traveler, because we want to make sure we're ingratiating ourselves to the locals, and we don't want to do the faux pas that might make our German friends a bit ärgerlich, a little upset, okay? And I think the first thing you need to realize, the first way...
Ärgerlich? That's the first time I've ever heard that word. Ärgerlich. Was ist das auf Deutsch? Was bedeutet das?
You can upset a German is just being late. Germans are all about being pünktlich, about being on time. If you have a meeting and it's at 9 o'clock in the morning...
we debunked that, man. That is true. It is a true culture shock. However, the Deutsche Bahn is never on time. I could go on and on about that forever, but y'all know.
That doesn't mean you show up at 9. That means you're in the office, you're in the room where the meeting's going to happen at 8:55. So right at 9 a.m., the questions start going, okay? So always be on time. And if you're going to be late, let the people know, because one, they're not going to be appreciative that you're late, but they will want to know what's going on. Now, another thing that might upset your German friends is if you get a little yiny, okay? Which I like to say is...
Yiny? Oh, yiny. I know what he means. Basically, if you're indecisive, you need to be very sure of what you want, because you'll hold other people up and it'll make a lot of people... Yes,
no,
and no, exactly. So... uncertainty. If you're uncertain, people don't like that, and you waste other people's time, you'll have a rough time out there. That is true. I told this story a lot when I was in Germany, man. I went to the grocery store, and there's 2 grocery store stories, but the one that applies to this situation is I was trying to decide which bread roll to get from the little bakery section, and as I'm making a decision, I completely was unaware that there were people behind me also trying to get bread rolls from this Rewe that I went to, which is like a little grocery store, and it wasn't just a few people waiting. There were probably like 15, 20 people waiting, but they were all kind of laughing because I was struggling to find like which bread roll I wanted for myself, and I was dropping things out of my hands, and I was trying to record myself doing it because I was trying to make a vlog at the same time. I looked like a hot mess, and it was very clear that I was not from the country, obviously. Generally speaking, they don't like that, because this also happened in the morning when everybody was getting ready for work and stuff. Fortunately, no one was yelling at me, but I could tell a few of those people waiting were at least a little bit annoyed.
9 put together, okay? It's kind of like, yeah, no, I'm not sure. Look, Germans do not like uncertainty. They do not like risk. They want to know what's going on. They want the certainty of, are you coming or not? And if you're kind of flippy floppy, if you're thinking about ghosting your German friends, that stuff doesn't happen here, okay? You need to be more like, yes, I'm going to...
Oh, man, that happens all the time in America, man. We're like the ghost champions.
Do it, no, I'm going to not. Because if you're not, that kind of upsets them, because they want to make sure all their plans are set, okay? And
True.
I think one of the things that's important for you to know is, since the Germans are very direct, they're not insulted if you're direct to them. So if you don't want to do something or you can't do something, don't try to figure out an excuse. Just let them know, hey, I can't come, and they'll be okay with that. But just telling them yes and then not showing up, the whole ghosting thing, not cool here in Germany, okay?
There's actually a really good YouTube short that highlights all of what he just said.
Would you like a slice of cake? Oh, that looks delicious, but no, I couldn't possibly say yes to that. No.
Come on, just take it.
Oh, stop it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I want you to have it. Come
really.
on, take it. Yes, it's for you.
Oh,
It's for
okay,
you. Come
you're
on.
forcing me.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Would you like a slice of cake? Ja, gerne.
Oh, you're very confident. Quite rude, actually. Kuchen?
Oh, that looks delicious, but no, I couldn't possibly say yes to that. Okay. No. Wait, what?
See what I mean? You see what I mean? Basically, if you're uncertain, it's going to mess up the whole feng shui of everything. There's obviously schedules set in place. Germans in general do plan a lot, right? And when you set like times to meet up and do activities, that is literally locked in their schedule. So when you go against the schedule, man, it's terrible. Another thing that I did while I was out in Germany, I had meet and greets, right, with a lot of my subscribers. And 2 times I showed up either 5 minutes late or 30 minutes late because of the Deutsche Bahn. Me and my friends were traveling from one end of Germany to another, or at least inside of the city of Hamburg and also in Köln. And I set a date and a time for each of these meet and greets, and I was late to both of them. And people literally took time out of their day to be there, and they were telling me that and stuff. Like they took, maybe a lunch break, or they set aside a slot of time to come and talk with me and whatnot. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
Okay, so have a heads up. Now, the third way you can upset Germans when you're here is if you assume that everybody in Germany is from Bavaria and wears lederhosen.
This is another thing that played a huge factor in how I traveled to Germany. Most of the experiences I heard from other people that have gone to Germany in the past originated from their experiences in Bavaria. And for me, I was like, okay, that's cool. But then the more I got to learn about Germany and the more a lot of y'all populated my comment section, you're like, listen, Bavaria is not the rest of Germany. You need to see outside of Bavaria to get a better idea of what Germany really is, because Bavaria is like Germany's version of Texas. You wouldn't say that all of America is Texas, right? America is basically defined by the rest of the states minus Texas, but Texas is the most potent part of the United States. So in true Goblin fashion, that is what America is identified as. So when I was choosing places to visit in Germany for my first few trips, I want something that'll kind of give me a very unique take, a very unique perspective on Germany. And I haven't seen a lot of Americans at least make videos on Köln. Like there probably are, but I didn't get to see that. I kept seeing videos of Americans traveling to Munich and other parts of Bavaria. So I'm like, you know what? I'll make Köln my first place that I go to in Germany, because it did not feel like the typical Germany that I was used to seeing online and hearing from people's experiences. So that completely changed my entire worldview on Germany specifically. And I'm glad I did that, because I don't envision, Germans with lederhosen or dirndl and stuff like that. Even though that is a cultural aspect of like the South, the way I view Germany is entirely different than I would have viewed it if I had my first experience in Bavaria. Now, I will go to Bavaria this year, hopefully, but my first 3 trips in Germany were definitely all up north, and it was a vibe. It was a vibe, bro.
Look, people wear lederhosen at Oktoberfest, and most of those are actually tourists, okay? Germany is a very diverse country. I mean, going to Munich and Bavaria is a very different experience than going to Hamburg or coming here to Freiburg or going to Berlin. You have such variety in this country that when they think that people are thinking they're all the same and they're all Bavarians with the big beer steins and stuff, that doesn't go over very well. And if you actually know Germans, you'll know that if they're not from Bavaria, they like to make fun of the Bavarians.
Yes, bro. It's just like America and Texans. If you're not from Texas, typically a lot of Americans make fun of Texans and stuff. A lot of Americans will make fun of anybody from the South in general because they got the Southern drawl and whatever. And so it's very comparable to how Germans and the rest of Germany treat Bavarians, especially with how they speak German.
Now, another thing that tourists do that might upset the locals, and it definitely will upset a few omas, grandmas, and opas, grandpas along the way, is if you jaywalk. And when I talk about jaywalking, I'm not saying like the middle of the road. I'm saying when you're at the crosswalk and the little Ampelmännchen, the street light guy is there telling you don't walk.
That's true and also not true. He's gonna probably cover this, but I did that in Germany, knowing damn well that you're not supposed to jaywalk. It was crazy because I was like looking at the lights. I only went when the light turned green, but in every other country I'm in Korea right now, but in America and Korea, man, look, if there's no cars, I'm running across the street, okay? In Germany, I was very shocked because I told you, Köln was my first experience. There were no cars in sight. People would just walk across the street, man, especially in the morning when it was like basically rush hour for work, right? Everybody's getting ready for work. They're like running across the street and stuff like that, briefcase in hand, business suit on and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I did that. But I think you'll get more backlash everywhere in Germany if you cross the street during a red light if there's a child in a nearby proximity, because a child's in nearby proximity and their parent is there and they see you crossing the street on a red light, they're going to yell at you. That is like a given. So that's also something I wound up looking out for too. I'm like, cool, there's no kids, there's no parents and stuff like that with their children and whatnot. So I can run across the street, get to where I need to get to quickly, and then, whatever. But he's going to break it down.
And you go. I mean, I lived in Germany for a number of years, and when I've done that, like people really put their arm out and stop me, and they're like, what are you doing? Sein Vorbild für die Kinder. Be an example for the children. I'm like, There's no kids around here. There's no cars. What's going on? No. Follow the rules.
I feel like how this is enforced also depends on what part of Germany you're in, because if you're in like very populated cities, they're not going to do that. But if you're in smaller cities, smaller towns, then for sure people will do that for sure.
Otherwise, they're going to be upset. And crossing the street against the light is one of those things. There's even a saying, bei Rot musst du stehen.
Or Rotgange, Totgange. Like red goer, dead goer.
Grün darfst du gehen, which is by red, you have to stay. But by green, you're allowed to go. All right? So just know that. Young, old, male, female, whatever, you just know the Germans are like, no, we're going to wait until the light lets us go, okay? Another thing that might upset your German friends when you're here, this is one thing that my students that have studied in Germany have brought up to me, and when I've had students that work with German exchange students, and that is, you might upset them if you don't agree with them on certain things.
I got to hear them out because
Germans like to do a lot of research. They want to make sure they know as much as they can before they make decisions, so they feel that they have the best answer possible.
Okay, that actually is true. I was about to say that's not true, but yes, it is. It is. So if you make a statement that they're like, no, that's not true, actually, and you have a counter argument, bro, yeah, that'll rub some feathers for sure.
And if you don't agree with them, they don't understand why you wouldn't, because they've done all this research. So that's where I've seen in business settings
it's a good
and
point.
Group project settings where people have gotten some upset feelings from both the Germans and from the locals. So
it's like you're invalidating their research low key, but it also goes back to the brutal honesty, right? It's like, well, this is actually like what it is and stuff, and not this. And so because of that, there's such a directness that the conflict is also very direct and upfront. It's pretty crazy. But I will say this, there is, and I think this is like been a thing maybe over the last 5 to 6 years, probably more of an American influence when it comes to sneak dissing, which is like people talking behind people's backs and stuff like that and not being really upfront if they have a problem. Some people will literally just bite the bullet and not address the issue up front. And this is from what I've heard from you guys, from my German audience, that's observed a change in Germany over the last few years. But I think that comes from like America, because we do that all the time. We'll smile and people say, go, yeah, okay. I do not like that person. Or I definitely disagreed with that individual.
just have a heads up with that. But don't think the Germans are all stiff and no fun. They will do parties. They will have a fun time with the party. And one thing I want to tell you, though, is you might upset people if you don't follow the party rules, okay? Because if your German friend of yours invites you to a party, they're inviting you. Not you and your friend and your...
Bro, I kept telling people this. Oh my God. Okay, so every time I would go out, right, I would get invited to like these parties and stuff when I was in Germany. And to me, that's just like a principle no matter what country you're in. I'm like, bro, if they did not invite you, answer is most likely no, because they're just expecting you and nobody else, right? Yes, it would be nice if you brought other people, but imagine if you threw a party and you invited your friend and you did not expect your friend to bring like 3 other people because you only have resources for a limited amount of people, right? Well, your friend doesn't let you know and brings 3 people with them. Well, now you have an awkward situation because you got to tell those other 3 people that they can't be there. Or you let them in and then they don't have enough resources to thoroughly enjoy the party. Maybe there's not enough alcohol or food or whatever.
other friends. No. It's very much just you are invited. There's no +1.
Yeah.
If you want a +1, you need to ask them, and they'll probably say no. Okay?
Exactly.
9. But just know that they're very specific when they do ask you to come to a party.
Dude, I'm very thorough when it comes to things like this, especially if I'm scheduling like a collaboration or something. I'm like, hey, I'm going to have these people with me. Is that okay? Or is there something we can organize where maybe it's just me, or maybe we can have like a bigger venue for XYZ, blah, blah, blah.
Party, okay? So don't overdo it. Also, I learned this when I lived here for a number of years, is if you're going to be having a party, let's say you're staying here, you're going to school here, you're moving here, and you want to have a party and it's in your apartment building, you need to let your neighbors know that you're going to have that party.
That's facts, because they'll report you to the police.
I mean, you don't have to invite them, but you need to let them know it's going to happen. Otherwise, they might be a little upset, which I learned from a lady dumping a bucket of water into my apartment.
What? Oh, nah, bro. You got to be petty. You got to be petty right back. I'd be petty. Okay. I would dump oil outside that individual's door. I don't care if they call the police. They will be calling the police on their knees.
Just have a heads up on that one. Now, another time you might see an upset German, and this isn't your fault at all. This is their fault, is if you're taking a train on a Friday or a Sunday.
Yo, that's the Bahnhof, bro. That's the very first place I was at.
They're really, really busy, and you have a seat reservation, and you go to your seat reservation on the ICE, and somebody's sitting in that seat.
Okay, I have a story for this. So me and my homie, right, we hop on the ICE train, right, the Deutsche Bahn, and we had already purchased our tickets and stuff like that. We got this cabin, this really nice cabin, and we're looking at our tickets, and it gives us our seat selection. So we get up to our seats, and a whole family of people is sitting in our seats. And so my friend says in German, it's like, hey, we paid for our seats to be here. Can you please get up so we can sit here? And I'm like, yo, we don't have to do that, man. It's like it's a husband, wife, and their kids. You know what I'm saying? You gotta. And the husband's like, no, well, we paid to be on the train too, but these are not our assigned seats. But can we still sit here? And my friend was like, nope, get up. I was like, what? And the guy's like, come on, you don't have to be like that. Da 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 da. And my friend's like, nope, get up. We paid for our seats. Get up. There's plenty of other empty seats, but we paid for these ones. The mom, the dad, the kids, they all looking at me with pleading eyes. They get up and they move and they leave. I'm like, I felt bad, bro, but he wasn't lying. We paid for those seats because it wasn't just me and my one friend. It was me and 3 friends, okay? So yeah, it would have been a little tricky because then the same thing would have happened to us if we sat in these random seats and other people get on the train when we get to different stops and they're like, hey, what are you doing sitting in our assigned seats? So a little awkward. There were definitely some tensions and stuff in there because the dad and my friend were going back and forth and they were being real snappy with each other and stuff. So I was like, oh my God.
And you tell them, Entschuldigung, das ist meines, das ist meins. Like, excuse me, this is mine. Oh, they're not going to be happy because they got this seat and
they're going to argue with you. They're not going to just get up. They're not going to just get up, bro. They're going to argue with you, bro. Like that's what happened. Like they were arguing back and forth and my friend was like packing him up. He's like, "No, where's your receipt? Pull out your receipt. Does it say that this seat's on your ticket? No, then get up." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Bro.
Figuring no one's going to show up in it, so they're going to take it without a reservation. Don't be surprised if they ask you to show your reservation.
Exactly. That's what they said. The guy said, show your reservation. And so we all pulled our tickets out. We're like, well, is you is or is you ain't. Go get up.
Prove it's your seat. And then they'll look at you like, oh, you took my seat.
Yep, exactly.
No, lady, didn't take your seat. I spent the €4 to get the reservation, all right? So, do have a heads up for that. Now, sometimes you don't even realize you're upsetting people when you travel, and that's okay. And the Germans have a fantastic way of letting you know that you messed up. And that's when you hear, Hallo.
Hallo or Mann. You hear those two things and you fucked up, bro. Like, okay. Bro, I was walking in the bike lane. Now, I've reacted to plenty of videos that say do not walk in the bike lane. But in the cities, here's what I will say that was mad confusing for me. I know that if you see red, do not step in the red lane if you are not on a bike, right? But there would be parts of the city where the road was kind of messed up. So you couldn't tell what side of the road was red or not. Now, obviously, if a rule of thumb is if you don't see like a definitive split in the road, just stay closer towards the building structures because there will not be a bike lane close to the buildings. You know what I mean? It'll be closer to the outside towards the street. Anyways, I'm like, oh, well, this sidewalk doesn't have a divide between bike lane or sidewalk. It's all just pedestrian sidewalk. So I'm walking, I'm talking to my friends and stuff, and all I hear is mano, 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 mano. And I'm like, oh, and then like bike dude like bikes right past me. He's like, hello, like, you know, bist du dumm? Like, I'm like, oh shit, okay, my bad. Like bro, bikers in Germany are aggressive. They're like wasps, dude. They're aggressive.
When you hear someone say hello really loud, I mean, if it's soft, it's hello, it's like hello. But if it's hello, it's like
hello, like hello, like
hello, moron.
Yeah.
You're doing something wrong. Whether you went in the wrong door at a museum, or you're in the wrong bathroom, or you're doing something you're not supposed to, or your kids are doing something stupid. Look, that hello will let you know that you upset somebody, all right? So just have a heads up when you hear that, because you'll be like, what's something here? It's just a way they get your attention, all right? Now, another thing you might do that might hurt your German friends' feelings is insinuate that they're cheap. Now, Germans are cool if you say they're frugal, they're economical, no problem with that. But if you insinuate that they're cheap, that's when they're like, hey, we're not cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole flex for German culture is that they save money. In America, it's the opposite. It's like, how much money can you spend? Oh, my Rolls Royce costs $400K. But then Germany, they also take pride in having expensive things, but for a cheaper price, for a good deal, right? Germans will go out of their way to look for the best deals. And so they're like, oh, I got a $400,000 Rolls Royce for $100,000. And that's a flex. But in America, if you paid a lot of money for something, that's like a socioeconomic flex for a lot of people. They're like, wow, you must be wealthy as hell. Like, people want to be your friend and they'll be fake to you. But in Germany, it's like, oh, how did you get something that's worth so much for so cheap? So I guess it's like what the difference between günstig and billig, right? Günstig is you get a really good deal for a high quality item, and usually a high value item for a low price. And then billig is just, the quality is cheap and the price is cheap. It reflects the quality.
We've got money. I'm like, I know. But the thing is if you talk to, in Canada and the US, you talk to waiters about tipping, they don't like German tourists because they don't tip as well. Well, they leave some money, but they don't usually leave the 15 to 20% like you're supposed to. They'll leave.
Yeah, tipping culture in America, by the way, is diabolic. So don't worry about tipping people in America. They get butthurt. But I had something messed up, and I will apologize right now. So I apologize because I thought at first, right, like people in Germany don't like tips at all. You can tip, and it actually is encouraged to tip a little bit, not as much as America. Just like as a small, oh hey, thank you. You don't have to tip as much. I think you can either round off the bill, is what I heard. Like a few bucks is okay, but nothing ridiculous. Like you don't have to tip like fucking $15, $20, $30. You don't have to do all that shit. But like, a little goes a long way. But the big thing is that in all the restaurants in Germany, people do make good money. They make really good money at the restaurants. It's not like America where you're getting paid under minimum wage and the establishment expects the tips to make up for that. In Germany, people make normal wages, and I think that's pretty cool.
Like 5% or $3 on a $100 bill, so it is one of those things that if you insinuate like, dude, that's kind of cheap, you'll see them be upset. And I'm sure in the comments below, you'll see those things there. Or you might invite them over to a party, like, hey, we're all bringing a potluck over, bring some food, and they might show up with some Maggi spaghetti instead of something else. So don't insinuate they're cheap. It won't go over well, all right? Just say, very economical choice, very frugal choice, smart business move, okay? So have a heads up with that. Now, another thing that you'll learn very quickly is a way you're gonna upset your German friends is if you try to take their food or their drink. Because
if you try to take my food or drink without asking, I'm going to be serving a life sentence because I'll send you straight to God, dude. Don't touch my food. Are you kidding me?
In some countries, when you order food, like everybody's food's kind of everybody else's and we can try this. Like we're in Italy, like, oh, try this, have some of this polenta. Portugal, it's like every plate is everybody's, right? In Germany, it's not that way. That's my problem.
Good. Like, because I paid for my food, I expect to be the one to eat my own food. And vice versa. I'm not going to eat your food. Now, like I said, if like people are asking and stuff, that's a little bit different, but you still 99% chance will get a no out of me. I'll be like, no, that's my food. You can get your own, sorry.
That is my Spätzle. That is my beer.
Yes.
You don't get it. And so if you go and take some, especially without asking.
Yeah, that's like an afterlife request. If you're trying to get sent to the afterlife, then yeah, go ahead, do it.
It's going to upset them. And even if you do ask, they say yes. Just know in their mind, they're like, ich wollte Nein sagen. I want you to say no. But they were very polite and said yes. So just know they don't like sharing their stuff, okay? If you've gotten this far in the video, another thing you might notice that Germans might not like and that you might upset them with is if you point out any of the eccentricities of the Germans and German culture. So look in the comments below and you'll notice some comments of people like pointing out some things I'm messing up and how they're going to be right about it, okay?
Yeah, of course. There's also that too. It's like, we don't do that. We actually do this. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Same with Americans though, right? I mean, we're very arrogant and stuff. We think that we run the world and all this other craziness and blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to break that cycle and kind of explore and learn as much about the world as I can. And it's very interesting spotting other fellow Americans in, foreign countries as well, because there are a lot more like-minded individuals like myself that want to learn more about the world, because what we're being taught in America is just like, whoa. And we were defending our ignorance, and now we get to see worldwide that we were wrong and we get to expand our knowledge, and it affects our mindsets in a good way, and it's cool.
Okay. Now, another way you might upset Germans when you come here is if you recycle wrong. I mean, I lived here a number of years, and the recycle program here is legit. The Grüne
I messed up, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Every single time I've been in Germany, I have not. I think I've recycled a handful of times, but I haven't recycled, bro. I would just use the universal trash can. I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I saw a universal trash can, I'm like, cool. Because I'd be walking and I'm like, okay, well, where are these like multicolored garbage cans? Well, in the city, dude, it was hard to see like the multicolored garbage cans, but I would see the generic trash bins and stuff like in the middle of like, you know, each city center. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, just throw my stuff there. And I would observe other people doing the same thing before I did it. I didn't just like throw my stuff there and like mess up the feng shui, you know what I mean? But yeah, difficult, but honestly, once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. But I haven't lived in Germany. I've just visited, and each trip has gotten longer and longer. The first trip I was there for like 4 or 5 days. Second trip was 2 weeks. Third trip was almost a month. This next trip will be a month, pretty much.
It's like this little like arrow going around. It's called the green point. They have lots and lots of different kinds of recycling here. So it's not just paper and plastic. It's
Good God. Oh my God.
paper, plastic, glass, different kinds of glass, all kinds of stuff that's out there. They have that set up, and people are very serious about it. So you want to make sure you're putting the right stuff in the right recycle bin and the right garbage going in the right place, because they do a really good job with that, and it really upsets people when you don't. And there's things economically that will get you to incentivize you to make sure recycling correctly, because they have these things called a fund.
Yep, the fond machine's super dope.
A deposit like on beer glasses beer glasses, but like beer bottles and soda bottles and stuff like that. So you don't just throw it away. You take it back, get your money back, so they can recycle it easier. Okay, so be aware of that one. Now, my next one for you that might upset the Germans when you're here is if you drive in Germany not like a German. Look, Germans are...
Dude, oh my God. Please, everybody in the comments, blow up the comment section right now, because I'm traveling to Germany for this camper tour, but I'm being told I might have to drive in Germany, and I do not know how to drive in Germany. I can drive. I'm driving in Korea, right? Driven in the States. But driving in Germany to me just seems terrifying, because y'all have the Autobahn. I've seen how people drive. The aggression is insane. People do drive like they have some sense, though. I think that to me seemed like the most tame, like, environment for driving. In Korea, people out here are goblins, bro. They'll cut you off. Buses drive as if they are mini coupes, or they drive like they're convertibles, and they're not. Obviously, they're big vehicles and stuff, right? But they'll run you off the road. They don't care, okay? Everybody in Korea drives aggressive. There's like high tensions on the road, and the roads are real complex and stuff. Germany, it's different. The roads are small. There's a lot of people. Sometimes a ton of aggression, especially when you're on those long stretches of road and whatnot. I'm confused, man. I don't want to be put in that position, but I might. So subscribe so you can see me mess up.
They're very much, we're about our auto, our car, right? And so they've got the Autobahn. When they're going way faster than you think you are, so move over, because you staying in the left lane, that Indiana drivers, you can't do that here in Germany. You got to stay to the right, because people will pass you by. No matter how fast you're going, someone is always faster, I promise. I got to see it myself. We were going about 120 miles an hour on the highway, or on the Autobahn in Germany, and people were booming past us, man. We had to like get out of the left lane several times, and I was like, good God, bro. Everybody out here is like on their fast and furious shit. How fast you think you're going, someone else is going to zoom past you in a Porsche, a BMW, or Mercedes, all right?
Yep.
And Germans do get upset when people don't drive the German way when they're here. So I do recommend maybe take a class about driving, or watch some videos on driving in Germany before you come, because then you'll be better prepared and less likely to upset and get, not necessarily road rage, but just upset Germans driving next to you. And also, don't expect a really good cup holder for your big gulp in a German car. And they don't understand why. Okay, so leave that there, all right? And then I want to finish off by another thing that really upsets Germans, and that is if you make Nazi jokes, okay?
You got to do it in good taste, all right? Because I covered this years ago. I'm like, oh, you probably can't joke about that at all. You got to be tasteful with it, bro. You can't just be throwing shit out there and it rolls off bad. Like, know your audience, and also, like, you can tell jokes like that. It just has to be tasteful. Just like people can make messed up jokes about America, like the school shooting jokes or slavery jokes or whatever. You can make jokes about anything. It just has to be tasteful, you know? If it's not tasteful, then it won't be received well, and they'll pack you up, okay? Like, I would avoid, if you don't know how to tell a tasteful joke, just don't even mention it. Don't even mention it. That should not be one of the first things to come out of your mouth when you're there. But if you guys are like playful banter back and forth, then yeah, you can go there if you know how to tell a decent joke. But if you don't worry about it, bro. Because I brought it up myself, and you guys are like, oh, it's not that you can't joke about it. You can, for sure, but you have to be tasteful with your jokes. It's all about the delivery, right? And the material, whatever. It's with anything. That's why I brought up like all of America's problems. You can joke about anything. It just has to be tasteful. Otherwise, it won't be well received. Like, you wouldn't joke about fat people in a room full of fat people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could if you're tasteful about it, but if you're not tasteful, you could imagine it wouldn't go over very well.
The history of Germany and the Nazi National Socialist Party that was in power here for a number of years, and World War II and the Holocaust and everything, it is a stain on the world history, not just German history, but the world's history. And if you make light of that, you make Nazi jokes, you make Hitler jokes and stuff like that, that does not go over well here. People do not like that. That is something that they're ashamed of themselves. And
they are, for sure. But like I said, know your audience, because you can tell those jokes. It's just, you got to be mindful of who you tell the jokes around, and also how you deliver your jokes and stuff like that. That's with literally any subject. Rule of thumb with comedy, that's how it works with any subject. Everything is fair game, but you have to be aware of your surroundings. Obviously, if people are very if that's a super sensitive topic for a group of people you're talking to, then but you'll know. It's like, bro, you can't play Cards Against Humanity without making messed up jokes. You know what I mean? Like, if you play Cards Against Humanity, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he brings up a very valid point. But you can, you literally can, if you are around people who can reciprocate the same energy and stuff, and who can receive your joke well. If you're good at telling jokes, then people won't be like, okay. Basically, if you're overkilling it though, if like every other word that comes out of your mouth is like a Nazi joke, then yeah, they're gonna get sick of that shit, and you'll get in some trouble. But if it's like, oh, they said some crazy shit, and it's like messed up, but it's funny about your country, you can dish it back, and it's fine. But yeah, you let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. But that's been my experience since I've been out there, and it's all good. People made some crazy jokes about America, and I made some crazy jokes back, and I'm like, okay, and people were cool with it. I'm like, whatever. But like I said, you have to be tasteful. I'm emphasizing the word tasteful when you're delivering jokes that cover sensitive subjects, because it will not be received well if you don't deliver it in a tasteful way. Promise.
And you may think it's a fun joke, I'm poking fun at things. It's not. It is not something that you joke about when you are here, okay? Because that will upset the locals, and I just want you to know that, all right?
We'll say like that with younger people, bro, like in general, like across most cultures, we get it. Like, we could we joke about messed up stuff all the time. Look at meme culture. Meme culture right there should tell you everything you need to know, all right?
All right, so those are some ways that you might upset your German friends when you're here in Germany. But what are some ways you've accidentally upset some of your German friends? Let us know in the comment section below. That was a great video. Wonderful video. Walter's World, phenomenal creator. I will link his video in the description down below. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Hopefully you guys watch my upcoming vlog. It will be about Berlin. Take care. Peace.